And this one I found, this one I think, if I recall, it's Jake Hilton maybe put this together. But it's webinars and online meetings. It's sort of like the Adobe Connect or Breeze, but he built it all. You know, they built it all themselves, just on using FMS. So they have live chat rooms. You can create accounts, and people come together and have meetings. And I think they've got like whiteboards and shared documents and all sorts of things that you can do. All right. And then I have to put in, this is my application. This is one that got me started with FMS back at 1.5. It's home surveillance over the internet using just your webcam, basically. And I started out, that's a business partner of mine said, he had this idea, it'd be really cool if it was easy to just have surveillance, right? So it was right when I started working, I was working a lot with Flash, and I'd heard about this thing called Flash Media Server. And I said, wow, that sounds perfect. Sounds, why not? Just plug in, go to the website. If you have a webcam, it's great. So it sounded really easy. It was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And people that knew me from that time, there are a couple of them here, would probably wonder why the heck I would call this fun with Flash Media Server after not leaving my apartment for a couple months working on this. But yeah, you really get hooked on it. Once you start developing with FMS or with streaming, it's kind of addicting because you can do so much with it. So this, you sign up, you log in using your username and password, you set up guest accounts for the people that you want to be able to view your camera. You can have up to 4 cameras plugged in, and people can switch among them. So that's iFoxCam. And I'm actually looking forward to Monday is the Airbus is going to be in New York. So my project for the day is to port this into Air. So it's always be nice to have something that's always running. Because that was one kind of drawback to this, is people don't really want to leave their browser open all day when they go to work. So they'll just have now an Air application that's running on their desktop. They can just minimize it and go to work and watch their dog lay on the couch. It's great. Okay, so once you've created this great, fun application, how do you host it? Well, you've got a few choices. First is a Flash video streaming service, and that's mainly for streaming only. If you're just broadcasting stuff, if you don't have any server-side code, that could be a good solution for you. Another is a FMS service provider. And if you have application that's a little more sophisticated, where you do have server-side code, you want to have a little bit of control over the settings of the server. Not much, but they do give you some. You could go with Influxus, Uvault. There are a couple of the big ones out there that let you, for pretty inexpensively, set up an account that I think it's only like $20 a month or something. And you can have as many applications as you want, and they just, it's restricted by connections and bandwidth, of course, but it's great for development and smaller scale applications. And actually, iFox is hosted using Influxus right now, and it's working out great. You could host it yourself, which is what I started out doing, actually, with iFox. You have to host it on Windows or Linux box. If you don't want to be an IT person, you don't want to deal with the server side, I don't recommend hosting yourself. But if you have somebody on your team that's good at that, then it is definitely a good idea, because it gives you access to just finally hone the server-side settings and really have control over it that you wouldn't have otherwise. So that's one option. And then for local development, I recommend setting up a local development server. And that would you can run FMS locally and do your testing and connect to it just on the same machine that you're developing on. And that takes one element out while you're working on things. You don't always have to be connected to the internet and all of that stuff, so it can really be a good idea to do that. And so you should have, this is recommended, Pentium 4, 3.2 gigahertz or better, 1 gigabyte of RAM, and a gigabit Ethernet card if you're actually going to put it up on the network. And that's kind of the minimum for hosting FMS on your own machine. I have done development on machines that are slower than that, and it's been fine if you're just working on it, and that isn't a problem. So, developing FMS apps. Well, the good news is it's free. The developer license is available for download, and you can have up to 10 connections, simultaneous connections, and it's free, which is great. And it's also they also changed the license agreement recently to allow you to use that developer's license on commercial projects. So that's really useful. Say you've got I know there's one application that I remember somebody had done. It was they were running FMS on a yacht. I don't know if anybody had seen that one, where they had cameras hooked up in the engine room and all sorts of different places, and then they had a server actually physically on the boat. So that developer license is perfect, right? You can just use that if you're not really going to have any outside connections. And like I said, code and test on the same machine. It just takes an element out. Unfortunately, it's Windows only, so if us Mac users are kind of stuck. Though somebody did mention that maybe if you're running parallels, you could run both. So I haven't actually tried that yet because I'm running Boot Camp instead, but that's certainly worth a try. So yeah, it's just less complicated networking, and you have full access to all the settings, which can be helpful too, because you really need to go in and at least understand. All the settings for FMS are in XML documents. So you can go in and just tweak it in the XML settings documents. On the server, you have a file structure for your applications. And this can be kind of confusing if you don't step back and look at it this way. But on the server, you have an FMS or Flash Media Server folder, right? And inside that folder, you have an applications folder. Inside of that, each application that you have will have its own folder. And inside of that, each application needs to have a main.asc. And that's it can be just a generic server-side ActionScript file, but it needs to be there so that the server knows what to do when you connect and all of that stuff. And I can show you what one of those looks like in a minute too. Inside of the applications folder also is a streams folder, and then each instance of the application will have a folder inside of that. And sometimes that gets confusing because you would expect that you have an instance and then all the streams inside of it, but that's not the way it goes. It's streams and then the instance inside of that. Definst is the default instance. If you don't specify in your connection string, say, my app / this instance 1, it'll go to definst. And those folders get created for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. And any time you record video on it while you're running an instance, it'll go into that streams folder. That's where it goes. If you want to stream any FLVs on an instance, you have to drop them in there, and then they are accessible through that instance. Does that make sense, instances? Is that clear? Not really? Yeah? Okay. And then you also have, in with the streams folder, you also have a shared objects folder. Those are not actually files that you edit or anything. They're just they're kind of invisible files that FMS writes to, and they're only accessible through the assigning the shared object parameters in ActionScript. But it actually creates a folder for them, and they're in that for each instance.